Hello, welcome to the podcast. I'm Kim. This is Kim's Wellness Space, and I love that you're here spending time with me on this podcast today. If you are new, you're very welcome. If you are returning, having listened to a podcast of mine before, thank you so much. That fills me with joy, and I clearly am saying something that's interesting if you're back to hear more. So today, I feel like it's going to be a free coaching lesson for us all, maybe. You don't have to take notes, but you might want to come back and listen again. You might want to share this podcast. And I'm hoping at the end, you'll definitely have had some light bulb moments and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get this. So I called this episode Your Environment. And that's really what we're going to talk about today is your environment for your wellness and how it affects the results that you achieve. So I know that you know what your environment is, or I know that you think you know what your environment is. But when it comes to looking at how you are doing with your health and fitness and your wellness and your overall well-being, if you are in this zone of frustration because you feel like you're doing everything right, but you're not getting the results you want to see, there's a gap clearly from what you're doing to where you want to be. And in the middle of that gap, absolutely could be your environment. And that could be what is the sticking point for you. So I thought it'd be really good to discuss that today because it absolutely will be different for everybody. And some of you will be like, no, nailed that, nailed that. Oh, I hadn't even thought of that area. Other people will be like, I don't really know what you're talking about. So there's a whole range, isn't there? So I am going to try and make it as clear as I can so that you can take away some really good info and, can start using it straight away. So I want to start by saying that if you are in a place of frustration because you're not reaching, then try and take a step back and have a look and see where you think your blocks might be. And we are going to discuss each of the wellness layers so that we can discover the blocks. But if you're already thinking, oh yeah, I know what that is, just try and step back and look at what the block is and see what you can do to make it easier so that you can win. And I hope that makes it, I hope by the end of this episode, you'll really understand what that means. But whenever we're getting stuck at a block, we can always take a step back and we can always remove something to make it easier, no matter what it is. And I'll be giving you loads of examples. Okay, so first of all, what makes up our environment for our wellness? So the environment for our wellness is our home, where we live and spend most of our time. If you work in an office or you have to go to work, you have a working environment, that absolutely is part of your environment. It's what you listen to on the radio, on podcasts, people's chatter around you. You don't even necessarily have to be in that conversation. It could be someone that's sitting near you or walking past you and you hear something. It's what you're listening to in your day to day, what you're watching and consuming on YouTube, on television, on social media, because I know that a lot of people get a lot of their information from TikTok these days, or it's not it's just different, isn't it? We can get information from all over the places these days. So what we're watching is part of our environment, and what we're reading. So maybe you're a person that likes to read the daily newspaper every day. I know there are some people out there that still buy newspapers. Not many of us, but there are some. But yeah, what you're reading absolutely is part of your environment. And then it's things like the people that you spend time with. So your family, your friends, your work colleagues, just acquaintances that you bump into. It's your nutrition, your movement, your hydration and sleep patterns, getting up, how much you get outside. So actually, your environment is everything that you come in contact with, whether you see it, hear it, experience it, live it. It's the whole thing. And so actually, when I say to you at the beginning, there may be something that's blocking you. Actually, God, there's loads of areas where we could be blocked, isn't there, that we might not have even thought of. So we're going to kind of break it down and have a look and see what we can do to make it easier to get a win and remove those blocks. So we're going to start with sleep. You'll have heard me talk about sleep loads of times. We know how important sleep is. I don't have to go and explain that to you. If you do want to know more about it, please go back and have a look. I think there are 3 other podcasts where I talk about sleep, one of which I have a guest. But we know that sleep is really important. We know it affects our wellness. We know it affects our weight. We know it affects our menopause symptoms. We know it affects our decision making. So sleep is really important. So what are the blocks for us getting a really good sleep? And it's not even how long a sleep it is, because we all need different amounts, don't we? Like, I am a solid 8 hours. I need a solid 8 hours sleep. That's what I want. My husband can run on 6 or 7 hours quite happily. If I run on 6 or 7 hours of sleep for a week, I get grumpy. My brain doesn't work properly. The brain fog starts to kick in. I probably don't work out as much as I would. It has an overall effect on my life. So we know that sleep is important, but we know that we all need different amounts. So it's not how much time you're getting, it's whether in that time that you're getting your sleep, is it really good quality sleep? So what can we do to help ourselves? What are the things that are blocking us from getting a really good sleep? For me, because it's always good if I use myself as an example, I like my bedroom to be really dark. I don't like one tiny crack of light from anywhere. And it sounds really dramatic, but if there is just one tiny bit of light, like it could be that my husband's put his toothbrush onto charge and I could just see that little bit of blue light flashing. Could just be as small as that. That will keep me awake. That will mean that I don't sleep very well. I need to have it absolutely pitch black. So, I am married. I don't live on my own. How am I going to achieve my best environment for me to get my sleep without making my husband do what I want? Because obviously what he needs for his sleep is completely different. And let me tell you, he can go to sleep with the TV on. So we have very different needs, but we don't want to be in different rooms. So we have to work it out. I have to remove those blocks for me so that my environment is good. So what do I do? So I actually have a eye mask, which I wear. It actually is one of those audio ones because I actually really like listening to an audiobook to help me drift off to sleep. I find it is a really good way of making my brain shut down. And it does that because the audiobooks that I listen to, I have 7, and I listen to them starting at number 1, going through to 7. Start at number 1, go through to 7. So I know it doesn't matter if I fall asleep because I know the story. I'm not going to miss anything. So my brain isn't alert. It's just something that just goes on. My brain starts to quiet, and then I go to sleep. So that's part of the environment that I've built for myself. I've got this noise in my ears which cuts out the outside world. It cuts my brain chatter. I've got my eye mask so that if my husband is awake in the middle of the night and wants to be on his phone or on his Kindle or if whatever, I don't get disturbed. I sleep. So I'm making my environment for my sleep perfect for me. I'm not infringing on what my husband does. And it means that I get a really good night's sleep. The other thing that is really good is about the time that you go to sleep. And it's really important to go to bed at the same time every night and get up in the morning at the same time. Now, that also is where my husband and I differ. He actually would be happier going to sleep a bit later. I like to go to sleep earlier and he wakes up earlier. So again, the eye mask is really good because we can both go to bed at the same time, which we do because we're both happy to do that. He will then fiddle around, watch YouTube videos, do whatever, and I will be going to sleep. And then he wakes up before me. Again, he's someone that likes to get on his phone straight away in the morning, catch up with the world, see what's going on. I don't. But I've got my eye mask on, I carry on sleeping. So we're both in that room. We both know what works for us. but we have created different environments for ourselves so that we get the optimum sleep for us. So that's sleep. So the next thing I'm going to come to is hydration. Again, we know hydration is really important. I've talked about it loads of times. But what if you know that hydration is really good and you know that you probably should be drinking more water than you are, but you're not? Because, well, why are you not? Don't know. Because maybe it is that you don't like drinking tap water and you would prefer to drink bottled water, but you don't have bottled water. So that is a barrier. So you would need to think ahead. You would need to make sure that you have bottled water on hand so that you can drink it. I always find, and I know this is hilarious, and my kids will definitely be laughing when they hear me say this, I love a cup. And if ever I want to really focus in on my hydration and be like, do you know what? It's not great. It needs to get better. I'm going to buy myself a new cup. Now, they already will be laughing when listening to this because they know that I can open a cupboard. I could probably supply a small village with cups because I love a cup. And I will say to them that I use all the cups. Probably not entirely true, but I do have a selection and there's always different ones around. I have 3 next to me at the moment in my office. I have 2 water bottles and I have another. Actually, I have 4 because I've got 1 cup of coffee next to me, 1 empty cup, and 2 water bottles. And I do use them. I also always have a beaker upstairs by my bed because I am very good at knocking things over. And I know that if I have a glass of water next to my bed, it definitely would be on the floor. But having that glass of water next to me is really helpful for me to get that first water drink of the day. Because I know for me that if I drink one of those beakers of water a day, I am halfway through my goal of what I want to drink because I want to drink 2 of them every day as a minimum. If I don't have it upstairs with me, then when I come down in the morning, I have to remember to go find the cup. I have to remember to fill it up and then I have to remember to drink it. It's not a big thing, but it's 3 steps that I've eliminated by having that water next to me in the morning. So I've got rid of those blocks and I'm making my environment work for me because the water is there, I can drink it. I always say to everybody, if you can get a water bottle with a straw or even just get a straw and put it in your glass, you'll drink more water than not having a straw. And I've always said, I don't know why this works, but it absolutely does. And I know other people know it does as well. It's not a new thing. But I did hear the other day the reason why it works, and it's for exactly this reason, for removing the blocks of our environment. If you have to go to a bottle and unscrew the cap and then drink it, that's more steps than just drinking through a straw. Because if you're drinking through I mean, you don't even have to lift the cup up. I mean, most of us would. We would lift the cup up. But you don't actually have to. You could just lean over and drink it from the straw. So we're removing steps. We're making it easier. So it's helping our environment. And then we come to movement. So how are we going to remove the blocks to make it easier for us to move? This isn't new. You'll have heard this before. There are people out there, we know them. They lay out their workout clothes the night before so that they can get up in the middle of the night. Well, 6 o'clock feels like the middle of the night for some people. And they can put on their workout stuff and they can just start working out. They don't have to think about it. In fact, I actually listened to a podcast last week where the lady said at the beginning of her journey, she struggled so much with that she used to sleep in her workout stuff so that she could literally just get out of bed and work out. I mean, I couldn't personally do that, but I understand the premise behind it. I get it. She was removing all the blocks. She literally got out of bed and worked out. My argument would be you can work out in your pajamas if you're working out at home. Doesn't really matter. You don't need workout clothes as such. But, whatever works. It may have been for her, like me with my cups, having a new workout outfit made her work out. We need to remove the blocks to keep going. Make it as easy as possible so that we feel like we're winning every single step of the way. We don't want anything. We don't want barriers. We want winning. And it's the same for our nutrition. So at the moment, I am having overnight oats for breakfast. I actually really like overnight oats. I know it's a bit of a Marmite thing. Some people do, some people don't. I do. And I'm having them with berries. Lovely. But I only eat them if I make them the night before. So I'm absolutely making sure that that's what I do at the moment, because that's what I want to be eating. If I forget one night and I have to eat something else for breakfast, it's not a massive drama, is it? No. But at the moment, that's what I want to be doing. So I make them in the evening so that in the morning when I get up, I take them out the fridge, put them on the side, they warm up a little bit before I eat them. Perfect. I've removed all the barriers. I've removed the choice of, oh, what am I going to have for breakfast? I've removed the doing because I've already done it. I literally get it out of the fridge. I eat it out the bowl. I don't put it in another bowl. It's in a Tupperware. Eat it out of Tupperware. Doesn't matter. It's about making it as easy as possible. And that's why you'll find that a lot of people who you see who are really, really successful with their nutrition, they eat the same sort of foods over and over again, because it eliminates this, what are we going to have for dinner? What are we going to have for lunch? What shall we have for breakfast this morning? It just takes it out. I'm not saying you should eat the same thing every single day, because that would be really boring. And also, it's really good for us to eat a whole range of food. However, you could pick, I don't know, 5 lunches and 5 dinners and rotate them and, mix them up a little bit. But basically, that's what you're eating, because it takes out the thought. So it's easier. You know what you're buying, so you don't get much waste. They're things, hopefully, that are quick and easy for you to prepare, that you could maybe spend a little bit of time on a Sunday prepping so that you've got it for the week. It takes away those barriers. It helps your environment. The other thing, of course, with food in your environment is, if you don't want to be eating the crisps, it's probably best not to buy the crisps. If you have children or a husband who likes that sort of thing and you don't want to be eating it, you need to make it difficult for you to see. It's obviously going to still be in the house and you're going to know, but if it's not right in front of you, you probably won't eat it. If you've got a bowl of fruit on your coffee table in the lounge, you're more likely to eat that, because there's no barriers. You just have to lean forward and help yourself to the fruit. You don't have to get up, go to the kitchen, find the cupboard, get the food out and bring it back. So we're removing blocks. We're making things really, really easy. If you've got crisps sitting in front of you on the table, of course you're going to eat them because they're there in front of you. We're human. We do what's easy. So let's make our environment as easy as possible so that we win. The next thing within our environment is friends and family, which is always an interesting one, because some of us like to share what we're doing in the hope that our family and friends will understand and support us. Some of us like to just get on and do it quietly and not share it. Whichever way you jump, it doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong. But what I would say is you just have to be aware. So if you are going somewhere where you absolutely know that there's not going to be food that you want to be eating, maybe it's possible for you to take food. Or if you're going to events, maybe you've got a really nice event to go to. So just go and enjoy it. Don't worry about it. It's one event, it's one day. That's not going to mess up your whole journey. You have to find some perspective with it. And it may be that it's really important that you go and do that. And part of your wellness is community, is connecting with people, it's having fun, it's laughing. That's just as important as all of these other layers of your wellness. So, we don't want you to go live in a cave and never come out. We want you to come and enjoy it. But just be really aware, make that decision before you go out. If you're going to an event, are you going to have all the food, drink all the drinks? Or are you going to not have any drinks, but going to have pudding? Or maybe you're not really a puddingy person, so maybe you won't have pudding, but maybe you'll have a glass of Prosecco. There's no wrong or right. If you want to go for it and have everything, do it and enjoy it. But don't give yourself a hard time for it afterwards. You are allowed to have these things. So it all depends on your perspective. It all depends on what you're doing, and also what your ultimate goal is, because there is no one goal with our health and fitness and our wellness and our well-being. It's all different. Some of us just want to be really healthy and strong going into old age. Some of us want to look a certain way. Some of us want to be able to lift a certain amount in the gym. None of them are wrong. None of them are wrong. They're all different. We just need to know what ours is. And then we can tailor our environment for our goal that we're trying to achieve. So I hope that makes sense. So we just want to kind of recap a little bit. Our environment isn't just the home we live in. Our environment is everything. It's what we listen to, what we watch, what we read. It's about the sleep that we have. It's the hydration, the nutrition, the movement, our home environment, our working environment, our friends, our family, the events that we do. It's our whole life. And if you are struggling to get the results that you want, it may be that you need to remove a few of the blocks within those environments, or one of those environments, depending on where you are, so that you can then start to move forward again. And remember, if it gets tricky or you're still not getting there, take a step back. Can you remove more? A really good example of this, of the environment and making things easy, is Netflix. Netflix have got this, like, I'm sure there's others as well, but Netflix have got this absolutely nailed, because if you are watching a Netflix series, you don't actually have to do anything to get from one episode to the next. You can watch your episode you're on. It then has a little bar at the bottom showing you that the next episode is coming, and it automatically plays it for you. It will give you a recap if you need a recap. It's all there. It's seamless. You don't have to do anything. You just literally have to sit in the chair. They have removed every single block for you so that you can just sit and watch 12 episodes of one season in one sitting. You don't have to do anything. And this is the same as your environment for your wellness. We want to remove as many blocks as we can, make it absolutely as easy as possible, so that every day you feel like winning, because every single day that you feel like you've won, you'll want to do another day, and then another, and then another, and then another. And also, of course, remembering we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for practicing consistently, because consistency is what gets you your goals. And every time you practice, you're practicing that consistency, you're winning. And every time you're winning, you want to win more, and then you get to your goal. So I really hope that made sense. There's a lot of information in there for you. And of course, as always, with all of these things, it's nothing new. It's just maybe that it's presented to you in a slightly different way. But I think if we can be super, super aware of our environment as a whole, with everything that we come into contact with, and then we can step back and make it easier to remove those blocks so that we absolutely can win, then I know that you're going to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast today. If you want to know more, come and find me on Instagram. There's always loads of stuff going on over there. If you want to get in touch with me about being one of my coaching clients, absolutely drop me a message on Instagram. I would love to chat to you. And I do have spaces at the moment, so that's really exciting. And I will speak to you all very soon on the next episode.